Good morning, everybody. My name is Wolfgang, and this is Cropinion. Today's topic is going to be about education in response to a TED talk I saw years ago by Sir Ken Robinson, I believe, and the title is How the Education System is Killing Creativity. My view is it's just killing souls, minds, hearts, people in general, children, before they even get to be people. They don't even get to connect with who they are, what they are, and how they fit into the world. I believe this is really heavily related to teen and youth suicide rates and bullying, and what I like to call the quarter life crisis. Kind of met people here and there that were just kind of losing it in their early 20s to mid 20s. I think it's creeping down more and more all the time, where you get out of high school and then you're faced with the real world, and it's like, OMFG, no one taught me or told me about any of this. So a couple of years ago, I heard someone call it the Deaducation system, and I will use that from now on, or from then on. So this one is Deaducation and the quarter life crisis. So we know we're taught at school to regurgitate facts and learn how to read and write, and we learn how to colour in, and we're encouraged to kind of express ourselves and do a bit of painting and things like that. But the further we get through the education system, the less creativity is supported. But there's other things that probably do exist, but I've never heard of. What I'd like to see is emotional intelligence. I mean, if the parents aren't teaching children emotional intelligence, then they should be learning that from kindy or daycare. And also their reflections on their values. I mean, values can change, but recognizing one's values, I think, is critical to understanding one's personality or one's perspective on themselves and the world. So it'd be great to have emotional intelligence that led to non-violent and non-aggressive communication. And I don't know if you've ever been through the experience, but a lot of experiences I've been through, particularly in relationships, intimate relationships with women, that one or the other or both parties will become spiteful and say things or do things in ego, and they're not constructive, basically. Someone will vent or purge at the other person, and they can retaliate and can lead to violence and other things. So it would be awesome if the education system could teach constructive emotional intelligence and non-violent communication. Also, I think self-talk is really relevant. I mean, no one talks to us as much as ourselves in our heads. And I have always been a little bit of a philosopher, so I used to ask other people, thinking that they knew better when I was a child, what does this mean? What is that? What's happening here? And at the end of the day, most people don't even understand why I'm asking. So probably would have been better that I just write in a diary or something else, I'm not sure. So self-talk and values and supporting our skills. And it takes a lifetime to kind of figure out what we're good at. I mean, as I said, I've been a philosopher, but it's not until I became an adult. I met other adults going, geez, you're a deep guy, you're a philosopher, you think all the time, this, that, and the other. And I probably only ever met like a half a dozen handful of other like real philosophers in my life, whether professional or just individual. So the education system should have a process of recognizing your skills and traits. So some of us like to move, some dance, some use words, some people don't like to use words. And being creative is not just being creative. Like, you can be a creative person. Some people are creative in general, but some people are creative with music. And I think we really need, all through school, to be able to go through the processes of painting, sculpting, singing, music. So by the time we become an adult, we have an avenue for an expression just towards ourselves again, you know? And we all love these expressions. Creativity and art is the cornerstone of all society. I mean, you think, oh, you know, creative is just art. I mean, everything is art. But engineering is creativity. Everything we're doing is expressing ourselves in one way or another. And we all love when a song or a movie touches us and we relate to it. And we need more of that on an individual level to reflect with ourselves and go, cool, no one else is going to see that. I wrote that down, and you can find it later on and go, geez, that was relevant. So focusing on our skills and traits for personal growth, I think it'd be great to have a personal growth profile from when we are in kindy all the way through, opposed to having grades of how well we regurgitate things and compare things to other people. So we can look back on our values from when we were younger and how we evolve, and then we can kind of look back and see how we're growing as a person. And that might help us set our goals for the future. So a relationship growth diary, I think, would be great. So we know how close we are to our friends at school and why we identify with certain people or friends, mentors, adults, and ourselves. And I think there's a bit of an issue with having mentors or having our parents on a pedestal as an example of what we're meant to be, or not really knowing anything else because of the nuclear family. When we're in a kind of richer environment with a larger extended family or a village environment, or we just see different adults, we can come out of our heads a bit. It's like, I don't have to be like dad, I don't have to be like mum, or I don't have to be like my uncle. There's other people out there, and it's not impossible to be what you want to be. If you see someone like Jim Carrey on a movie, or an actor or something like that, it's okay to think, yeah, there's no one in my actual life that I aspire to be like. I'm going to be something similar to that. Just go for something bigger than what you know. I'm just going to read this. Learning to find inspiring, supportive people and your peers. Yeah, I think it's more important to find people with similar values and seek them out. I mean, we can do that in this day and age, opposed to just accepting the friends and people that we have in our lives. And doing this in school, I mean, identifying out your values and your growth with other kids. I think by the time that they become teenagers, that this kind of process may lead to dissolving superficial peer pressure, and it will build self-esteem, because an individual will know if they're bullied. Well, I know in the past that I've liked this about me. I've praised myself for this. I've had praise from other people for this, and I can talk to them and say, why don't you like this about me? How does this affect you and your values, and why are you telling me in a non-constructive way? Yeah, and at the end of the day, you'll understand that you don't need to fit in. And hopefully at the end of the day, anyone that gets bullied will just learn to speak out. Okay, so that aside, what do we get taught at school about the practical things in life? I mean, what are we natural at? What are our natural skills? They should lead to your passion and therefore your career. So you never really have breakdowns. You kind of feel this life balance. The careers and jobs we're looking at should be based on the future. I think our government and society, business in general, are having massive issues in projecting what jobs are going to be around in the future, what careers are going to be around in the future. And the fact at the end of the day is not many, because things are becoming automated massively. So when we're thinking about career, we're thinking about what we can do for our career, but there's a balance there. There's a balance to keep yourself sustained The three pillars of sustainability is the economy, the environment, and people. But if people aren't working, then it really affects the other two. And they've shown studies that people that aren't coping at work and have sick days off, it discounts productivity by something like 20%. So it should be prevalent and foremost that people in school, like kids in school, and in the workplace and adults and a business should be structured around the sustainability of the individual. And everyone's got a different balance, which is very hard. Some people can do 38 hours, some people can do 100 hours, some people can only do a few, some people can do a lot and need a break. So personally, I've kind of recognized that there's different types of me time. There's your chores and errands that you need to do. There's still time to let your mind just be still and go empty. And there's time to reflect and express yourself. And there's also self-time, which is time to socialize in general, get out, see a gig, have a drink, go to dinner. And the other one is you time with other individuals to keep those friendships close, whether they be your partner, good friends, family, and children. Like, that's a lot of time. I could spend my whole life just keeping my friendships and relationships tight. Seems to be that everyone's off working and studying and then doing their chores and other things anyway. So it'd be great to build lifestyles around our values and skills. So by the time we get into our career, not necessarily our career, but we have other passions and interests and views that we share with other people to keep us grounded at the end of the day. We're going through hard things. We know we've got people to rely on, and we know that we are our true selves. So I think that a big issue is we're all in these nuclear families with a white picket fence, and we're all fenced off, and the nuclear household basic marketing structure. I think it would be healthy for the education system to show us how the economic system works and how we contribute to the economic system in relation to our government, the banks, how the banks invest in the environment, in fossil fuels and other commodities. So I think first and foremost, what we need to be taught when we're young is lifestyles, styles of life. We don't all have to do everything the same. I mean, some people might really want a lot of wealth, and they need to know that they just need to go and find a job, whether they're passionate about it or not, that's going to bring them a lot of wealth for a yacht, travel, a really nice car, and they can build that up over time. Other people might bring in a lot of money, but just want a simpler, more sustainable, basic lifestyle. Personally, I would like to be comfortable with enough money to create more and more charities and projects and socialize everything. But at the same time, I'd love to live in an earthship. I would like a domestic kind of suburban block with an earthship on it, and the whole place full of fruit and veg. Otherwise, live in a small community. But I didn't really know about lifestyles until I broke away and had breakdowns as a mid-20-year-old. To just go, no, I just, there's got to be something else, and there's so many other options. You can earn heaps of money, or a little bit of money, and you don't have to buy a house. You don't have to have a partner. You can have a partner with kids. So many options. So, yes, in summary, I think we should be taught emotional intelligence, how to talk to ourselves, how to still our minds, how to express ourselves to ourselves and others, how to be creative, so when we do go through hard times and we don't understand things, that we can at least express it and hopefully get feedback and grow from that. I think we should have value growth diaries and be taught how to relate and keep up relationships with people that matter to us. I think we should be taught about how our system works in our country, or the country you grow up in, the political, economic system, the people that make the rules, where your money goes, how when you earn money, where it comes from, the environment, and is transferred into profits and more opportunities. So I'm going to put up Sir Ken Robinson's video just after this below, and I'd really like your perspective on Deaducation, the quarter-life crisis, and what we should really be learning in the education system.